A new journey begins. Bjorn set his teacup down slowly, his movements graceful and deliberate as he crossed his long legs, adopting a languid posture. Are you listening to me now? A woman's bewildered voice shattered the tranquility of the sunlit parlor. Why? You don't want to answer? Maybe that article is true, isn't it? Her voice rose, laced with anger. With a hand that gently wiped his still dry face, Bjorn picked up the teacup once more. As he sipped the perfectly cooled tea, the fog in his mind began to lift. Bjorn! The woman, unable to contain herself, rose from her seat. A single ray of sunlight streaming through the window illuminated her like a spotlight. She was impeccably dressed, a stark contrast to the woman who had rushed from the capital to Schwerin before noon. Bjorn raised his eyes, now accustomed to the brightness, and regarded her. His gray eyes shimmered with a subtle brilliance reminiscent of opal. He had returned home around dawn, showered, and collapsed onto his bed after a bright morning. For him, it felt like midnight, never a good time to be woken like this. With a sigh tinged with laughter, Bjorn reluctantly picked up the newspaper the woman had carelessly tossed his way. The front page of a tabloid, much like the one Leonid had brought him earlier, was filled with sensational articles. Rumors circulated about a reunion between the former crown prince and his wife, featuring private information sourced from close aides. Bjorn glanced at the bold headlines and large photographs of himself before narrowing his eyes to read the article. According to anonymous insiders, the atmosphere between the two was unusual. While it's never wise to forgive an ex for such a disgraceful act, Princess Gladys, known for her fragile heart, seemed to waver. As a result, Lechen's social scene was expected to heat up this summer. The article was filled with carefully crafted nonsense, revealing the paper's talent for selecting the best images rather than delivering quality journalism. Bjorn chuckled softly and set the newspaper aside. The woman, who had been holding her breath in anticipation, now wore a face flushed with contempt. You don't even have the decency to explain this, do you? Her fists clenched, tears glistening in her eyes. Let's break up. Her voice rang sharp, as if delivering a solemn declaration. Bjorn, cigar perched between his lips, looked up to meet her gaze. I don't see any reason to continue this relationship. I think I need to get engaged before spring ends. Despite the triumphant tone in her voice, impatience flickered in her eyes. Bjorn regarded her slowly, lighting the end of his cigar. She wasn't a bad lover, moderately elegant, moderately vulgar, and they both understood the nature of their relationship, a temporary escape before returning to their own lives. That was his belief until she stormed in, furious over Gladys Hartford's name appearing in a cheap tabloid. Congratulations on your engagement, Miss Perez. Bjorn smiled, his voice soft and gentle as the smoke curled from his lips. I beg your pardon? The woman blinked slowly, shock evident in her tone. Cold-blooded, selfish to the core. How could you do this to me? Well, you were the one who said goodbye. His long finger traced the rim of the teacup. I've accepted it. Then, isn't that what you wanted? Bjorn tilted his head, a questioning look in his eyes. Her hair fell softly as she bit her lip, unable to respond. Standing up, Bjorn left the woman, her face still flushed. The smoke from the cigar he discarded into the ashtray drifted out the window. Wait, she screamed after him. Bjorn paused, glancing over his shoulder. Is that all you have to say? Is that truly all you want to tell me? The lady from the Perez family appeared close to tears. Despite her beauty, Bjorn felt no particular emotion. He turned to her, bowing his head politely, a dignified gesture that seemed out of place given his casual attire. I wish you well and hope for at least a count. His smile, initially mild, gleamed red in the sunlight. Leaving the half-fainting woman behind, Bjorn exited the parlor. Mrs. Fitz, who had been waiting outside, followed him closely. I trust you won't try to lull me to sleep with a lullaby. Bjorn's lips curled into a soft smile as he noticed Mrs. Fitz trailing him to the bedroom door. I can do whatever the prince wishes, but unfortunately there appears to be trouble now. Mrs. Fitz, ever the stern figure, responded to his jest. As the crown prince's nanny, she managed the household affairs at Schwerin Palace. Even in her old age, with white hair, her upright demeanor remained unchanged. You need to leave for the train station soon. Train station? There's not much time left before Her Majesty the Queen arrives. Ah, today's the day. Bjorn recalled the schedule. His mother was visiting Schwerin for a charity event at the Royal Hospital, and he was to serve as her escort. Yes, he nodded lightly, accepting the task. I'm ready. As the train journeyed through various cities, it began to fill with passengers. Erna, the only occupant of her compartment, felt the space closing in. Seated by the window, she observed the scenery with a mix of curiosity and anxiety. Countless people and carriages moved along the intricate roads between the dense buildings, creating a dizzying spectacle. But if she knew the address, she could find her way. Suppressing her nerves, Erna reassured herself. After all, this was the city where she was born and raised. Nothing to fear too much. Although it had been nearly 5 years since she lived here, a hometown still held its roots. Just as she steeled her resolve, the train arrived at Schwerin Central Station, its final destination. Erna quickly gathered her belongings and exited the cabin, maneuvering through the throng of passengers. The ribbon of her hat pulled tightly under her chin. Her neatly braided hair swayed with each step. However, her confidence faltered as she stepped into the bustling corridor. Overwhelmed by the crowd and noise, she struggled to regain her bearings. Pushed back and forth, she finally found herself on the platform, disoriented. The cacophony of voices filled her ears, and she felt a wave of anxiety wash over her. Come here! It's coming! A loud shout drew the attention of the crowd, and all eyes turned in one direction. Clutching her trunk, Erna instinctively followed their gaze. At that moment, she spotted a tall man making his way through the throng, and her heart raced.